Fair use act, nigga.
There is nothing wrong with your television set.
Take the children and yourself and hide out in the cellar. By now the fighting will be close at hand.
Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
Don't believe the church and state and everything they tell you. Believe in me, I'm with the high command.
If we wish to make it louder, we will bring up the volume.
Never had a doubt in the beginning, never a doubt. Trusted you true. Better you should pray to God, the Father and the Spirit will guide you and protect you from up here.
If we wish to make it softer, we will tune it to a whisper.
You made me promises, promises, knowing I'd believe. Swore allegiance to the flag, whatever flag they offer. Never hint at what you really feel.
We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical.
Second time around, I'm still believing the words that you said. Teach the children quietly, for someday sons and daughters will rise up and fight while we stood still.
We can roll the image, make it flutter. We can change the focus to a soft blur, or sharpen it to crystal clarity.
Why do I believe?
For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear.
Why do I believe all of your promises? You knew you'd never keep. Why do I believe?
We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your television set. You are about to participate in a great adventure.
AI did it. Okay, not the government's drowning in debt or the institutions pushing this collapse. No, it's AI. Then comes the mandatory solution, okay? Digital ID, biometric login for everything. They'll say it's quantum-proof credentials. Programmable money will be right there waiting to CBDCs. They'll want full control over the internet access. And they'll say this will help prevent the next cyber attack. Just look at the timing here. I mean, this week, the BBC reports on Cloudflare, one of the biggest choke points on the internet. It suddenly collapsed and took down X, ChatGPT, Zoom, Canva, and thousands of sites all at once, right after the media started yelling about Chinese AI hackers. And Cloudflare blames it on a configuration file. Okay, one script kills about a fifth of the internet. Think about that. That's totally normal, you know? Why would they even have something like that that could take down most of the internet? And they're not fixing it either. Yeah, you know, all this is totally normal. Meanwhile, Amazon Web Services went down last month. Microsoft Azure glitched, and now Cloudflare crashes so hard that even Down Detector couldn't detect the outage because Down Detector itself depended on Cloudflare. Experts are already calling Cloudflare one of the biggest single points of failure online, which is the perfect setup so when the real attack hits, they can say, see, the system was fragile, okay? AI outsmarted all of us. And now the conditioning is happening. Okay, in the Netherlands, they're running commercials showing power and internet outages, training people mentally for this incoming blackout, because a controlled blackout is the only way to force the public into the new system. When the lights go out and they declare the old internet too open or too anonymous, they'll say the future requires digital ID tied to every login, every purchase, every access point. Exactly what Tony Blair pushed at the WEF cyber polygon simulation. Okay, let that sink in. Put all this together, the drills and the warnings, the outages, it's so obvious what they're planning here. The cyber attack is the finale to bring in this digital ID system. The AI is just the scapegoat. The digital ID system is the end game goal. And the beta tests are already happening. Most people never realized they were in a beta test. Many people were sharing these articles about internet blackouts. They know exactly what's happening. I mean, Chinese AI, really? The whole point of the blackout is to force digital IDs and CBDCs. That's where this is going. Because when the lights come back on, they're going to say the only way to secure the system and stop this from ever happening again is for everyone to register with a digital ID, accept the digital mark. The WEF said this years ago. It's going to be introduced to the public to help prevent cyber fraud and protect the future economy. Every person needs a verified digital identity. Superpowers claim aliens crashed into their backyards. It's not disclosure. They are preparing you for the ultimate false flag. And they've been preparing this for decades. I mean, Ronald Reagan gave a speech talking about how incredible it would be if an alien invasion happened because of how fast they'd be able to form a one world government. All nations would immediately put their differences aside and come together. Never thought I'd live to see this right here. The final card might be played soon. And I don't think people are ready for that level of destruction. That level of destruction would make people accept whatever global response comes next, because it's going to be so realistic that people are even going to call me crazy or you crazy for trying to expose it, because we're going to see thousands, maybe even millions perish in this next psyop. It's honestly pathetic. These demons can't even stage their psyops properly anymore, okay? The truth is they're fumbling the fake alien invasion narrative, and the exact same sloppy fingerprints are all over the Crooks operation as well. First, they stage him as a ghost. You know, they said this Crooks guy that allegedly shot at Trump, which is, total nonsense. And they're saying he had no online presence whatsoever because, a kid of his age doesn't go online at all. Then hundreds of violent comments, burner emails, and videos magically appear the moment independent investigators look. First, they stage him as a right-wing lone wolf. Then his posts show he flipped politically overnight while chatting with some mystery extremist handler the FBI pretends doesn't exist. They cremate the body, hose down the crime scene, wipe the records, and then claim they'll explain everything after the trial. In a case where the suspect is dead. This wasn't a mistake. It was staged from the start. And they're lying the same way they always do. It's lazy. It's sloppy. I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but they're assuming no one will connect the dots. And I'm assuming that will happen during this staged alien invasion. There's going to be a lot of holes in it, okay? I don't know. There's just always seems to be holes in their psyops. Nothing is done perfectly, okay? Only God is perfect, and the devil here makes a lot of mistakes. And I'm here to expose that BS. Okay, people, another day, another mystery virus outbreak. That's right. We're not going to get away from this virus fear porn ever. I really hope they pull off the alien invasion before I see another pandemic. I'm hoping, okay, because I'm so tired of the endless outbreaks here, okay? In Washington, a man became severely ill with a brand new virus that's never been seen in humans before. As if we haven't heard enough of virus BS lately. How burnt out are you about viruses and pandemics? It's actually ridiculous. This time, guess what they're calling it? H5N5, a bird flu strain that magically jumps from ducks and geese straight into an older guy with health issues who just so happened to have a little backyard poultry farm, Two of his birds mysteriously died right before this. Yeah. And they're saying, that jumped to him and then he caught it. Health officials are already out here saying risk to the public is low, just more excuses to kill more animals. These people are true demons. I mean, they killed all these ostriches at that farm in Canada over the same threat. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people tested positive for H5N5 and then we see fighter jets go over them just dropping bombs on everyone, treating them like ostriches that were infected. And now they're swearing there's going to be no person-to-person spread, even though they did say the same thing during COVID at the beginning. No worries, people. No person-to-person spread, which, they were honest at the beginning. And then they decided to change their tone because, they found a perfect opportunity, which is Klaus Schwab's exact words. So who knows what will come of this? Okay, they warned that viral evolution is unpredictable. In other words, they have no idea what's going on, but if they feel like they can turn this into a pandemic, they will. The CDC says no one else has tested positive, but remember, the US already had 71 human bird flu cases since 2024, including 1 death. They claim, okay, we know the BS behind virus theory here. But don't worry, they say this one's with the rise in autism, and that none of the 20 infant shots given before age 1 have ever been proven safe in that regard. Not once, ever. Okay, the CDC now lays it out. RFK Jr. has been saying this for a while now. The people telling you vaccines don't cause autism. HS is now scrambling, doing the studies they should have done 30 years ago, comparing vaccinated versus unvaccinated kids and investigating the biological mechanisms they pretended didn't exist. So while the CDC is quietly admitting their fraud, they distract everyone with UFO headlines, alien psyops, and the next never-before-seen virus. It's the same playbook. Leak the truth with one hand, blind the public with the other. The demonic sleight of hand, folks. And as you can see here, they did a study. Unvaxxed kids versus vaxxed kids. And you can take a look yourself and see these numbers here. It's just absolutely evil. Crimes against humanity to the highest extent. Think about the parents that have to struggle with a child with severe autism. Parents that have to struggle with the fact they just lost their baby. I can't imagine the pain. People need to be held accountable for this. They can't go unpunished.
Have essentially said that this is the only way, this will be the only way to prove you of legal identity. And so if you don't participate in that system as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. So by not participating in that system, you're inherently excluded from the economic system and really essentially everything. It's going to be a problem, reaction, solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's, equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II.
Mm-hmm. In her most recent interview with Mark Goodwin, Whitney warns us that all world governments are pushing us towards this new world order. It is being ushered in by elites such as BlackRock's Larry Fink, who wants to tokenize all existing assets and commodities in the natural world. Whitney warns that everything will be tokenized, from forests to rivers, mountains, and lakes. Everything commoditized to be owned and traded by the super rich and powerful, all with one singular goal in mind: complete control and domination over the rest of us. Within the conversation, Whitney breaks down 2 important factors of the New World Order plan: digital IDs and natural world tokenization. Whitney warns that Schwab and his fellow elites are on the verge of achieving their grand plans and will use a catastrophic level event on the scale of World War II to usher in the new financial system.
I think the digital ID is a key enabler of the surveillance, knowing what everyone is doing at the transactional level and being able to tweak that micromanagement based on a person's activity, because the digital ID isn't just limited to the financial system, right? It's like your travel, your health history, your career history, your education credentials, your access to telecommunications, social media, the internet. With the new AI era, right, they can fuse all that data, analyze it, and depending on how they develop that AI algorithm, use it to control people really in unprecedented ways. So the idea is we all have to be included in the system, and they directly link that to the concept of financial inclusion and banking the unbanked, which you brought up earlier. But inherently, these systems actually function in an exclusionary way based on how they've been set up. They have essentially said that this is the only way, this will be the only way to prove you of legal identity. And so if you don't participate in that system as far as the state or the private sector is concerned, you don't exist. So by not participating in that system, you're inherently excluded from the economic system and really essentially everything. So you have to onboard to the surveillance state or be excluded from everything. So it's, being marketed as inclusion, but it's really inherently exclusionary.
Totally. So how does this system get triggered? How do we move into the Mark Carney-ism?
Well, I think they sort of give it away when they say that this is the new Bretton Woods movement that needs to be seized. So Bretton Woods was what came out of World War II, essentially, and was the creation of a new financial governance system after World War II. And this is essentially an effort to create a new financial governance system that was announced well before any sort of crisis like that, but it's probably going to need a crisis of that level to be implemented and to convince people to onboard at scale. And if you subscribe to the theory that all wars are bankers' wars, which there is plenty of evidence to support that, I would say, that seems to suggest that perhaps, this is the it's going to be a problem, reaction, solution type of situation where they've already made the solution. They've already developed what they want to be the new financial governance system after this new Bretton Woods moment. They just need some sort of big event on the scale of World War II or some large event that's, equally disruptive in order to be like, all right, now it's time for a new financial governance system after this big event like they did after World War II.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the thing that's so interesting about this debt bubble exploding is that when you know that the debt bubble is going to explode and you want to explode it into the new system, the way that you sort of trigger that into the system that you want to get the masses to go with you is you actually want to have the most debt obligations on the record, on the board, so that when the system pops, they'll all pop. When the debt bubble pops, every debt bubble will pop. It will be everything all at once. It won't just be like, oh, Japan's fine, the US is it won't work like that. Everything will pop at once. So in this weird way, you actually want to create as much debt as possible right before the pin bursts the bubble, and then you can offer this, hey, we'll service your debt 1-to-1 if you come join this new universal tokenized ledger. Just sign up here, do a selfie of your face, and give us your biometrics, and then here you are.
Well, it seems like in Larry Fink's case in particular, there's a goal, a big ambition there to develop new asset classes that can be used to basically fuel their existing business model and perpetuate it for millennia forward. Mm-hmm. So one of these that I've been writing about for a few years is the whole idea of natural assets. What they call nature's economy. And one of the groups that has been sort of propelling this forward, at least one of the earlier groups, the Intrinsic Exchange Group, which is a product of the Rockefeller Foundation and the multilateral development banking system, has a graphic on their website called The Opportunity. And they show there the existing amount of assets in the world economy, and then show what if we unlock natural assets, how nature's economy, it's 6 times the amount of existing assets in the economy today. And so as an asset manager, BlackRock being able to unlock and take control of as many natural assets as possible that aren't currently part of the financial system is obviously a way for them to perpetuate what they do and deepen and expand their control over not just people in the existing financial system, but really over the natural world as well, and essentially turn everything alive into a tradable Wall Street financial product. And the goal, as Fink has stated, is to have all of this on a universal ledger, on blockchain, presumably, and have it be, trackable and surveillable, which is interesting if you look at it through the context of risk management, which is something that Larry Fink is very open as having been one of the guiding lights of his whole career. And so by having it all surveillable and automated in a sense, he's able to have his risk management AI thing, Aladdin, sort of exercise control over it in unprecedented ways, I think. For their benefit. And then, of course, a lot of what's happening now as we're moving into this new financial governance system is the push to change all of the infrastructure towards this, quote unquote, green a green model, I guess, or decarbonization, right? Which is, of course, interface with the global carbon market, but not necessarily. So, like, doesn't have to be. But the push is obviously to create a bunch of new infrastructure all over the world, and BlackRock is positioning themselves to be one of the key players in that space. They acquired, I think they're called GIP, one of the biggest infrastructure developers in the world. And I think one of their top guys at Davos just a few months ago was talking about how they're betting really big on infrastructure going forward. And it's going to be one of the biggest investment opportunities of the next several decades, actually. So I think they're quite ambitious. And, if people aren't aware of this, I'm sure they'll get away with it, but we'll see.
It's funny, too, because, I think there's a parallel here that you've talked a lot about where it's like, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain playing with the blockchains and who's validating the blockchains. Howie Lutnick of Cantor, specifically said, hey, if you want something seized, Tether's great, you just call Tether. Ethereum's great, you just call Joe Lubin. You call the guy behind the decentralized theater to blacklist the person or do whatever. Mm-hmm. Reminds me kind of a little bit of how the AI play is probably going to go, right? It's like, oh, it's AI that's in charge. It's AI that's in control of all these things, but really it's the keepers of the AI.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you have to pay attention to the people that are tweaking the AI, programming its objective functions that maintain it. They're able to manipulate it, and there is definitely a coordinated push to put AI in charge of as much of everything really as possible, and allows them to sort of follow what I call the Wizard of Oz model, be the man behind the curtain, but have AI be sort of this layer between you and the public that gives you sort of allows you to never be accountable for anything. You can just either blame everything on the AI or say like AI is superior to human intelligence and therefore, it's not our fault and we should trust what it says. Computer says yes, computer says no. And, I think it's very likely that AI following that same model is going to have a very big role in this coming, digital financial system. Yeah. Well, I think the selling point that we're going to be seeing soon are these same guys saying this is the free market solution to climate change. Right. Let's let the free market resolve the environmental issues that we're facing. And this is the way to do it. I think it's probably going to be cloaked under those metrics because obviously framing it in sort of a left-leaning way has been unsuccessful and generated a lot of pushback to the point where you have big groups like BlackRock and Vanguard, abandoning some big climate groups that they were a part of. You have Larry Fink openly backing away from the term ESG after being sort of the ESG champion guy and going on record saying that a lot of this stuff that BlackRock's been involved in that's been framed as ESG isn't about politics or ideology. It's about the prospect of long-term returns and profit. So I think, him moving in that rhetorical direction is sort of a harbinger of what we're likely to see going forward because they want the big players in financial markets to sign on, and they don't want to see it as like a state-led thing. They want to see it as a private sector-led thing to get them to onboard. And also to sort of, I think, neuter a lot of the criticism from right-leaning people and the populist right in general.
The guys with guns.
Yeah, well, in the States, yeah,
Sure.
the majority of gun owners, right? They want to sort of placate them. And I think they're also going to offer it to people as, oh, if you buy into these systems, you'll, be prosperous. This is, a return to sovereignty and prosperity, and they're going to use some of these technologies, where people have heard the terms but aren't necessarily overly familiar with them, and sort of market it as being, a return to financial sovereignty and prosperity and stuff, but not necessarily. I think it's, again, it's going to be the same debt-based monetary system. Debt is a form of control.
Right.
But they're going to try and market it, I think, under those metrics. So, Fink recently said that he views Bitcoin specifically as a technology for asset storage. And in this multipolar currency paradigm, it's likely there's going to be, in multipolar reserve assets, they want to move away from the appearance, at least, that the U.S. dominates the reserve assets of the world. Do you think Bitcoin has a place in that? And do you think it's possible for the U.S. government to sort of Wizard of Oz that, to sort of be able to manipulate countries, through that potentially?
100%. Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier about how, Bitcoin basically is digital M0. It's this digital base layer money, digital base money, and all of these other dollar-denominated things, and Ethereums and all these whatevers are debt-based. Larry Fink specifically talks about, it's technology for storing assets. It's this universal ledger of the state that, we can shove any integers into, any bits, and use it to uphold the state of all sorts of other assets. The U.S., I think, has the most to gain from Bitcoin, actually. It's sort of this weird, it's been framed, so much so the opposite. But the U.S. has so much Bitcoin. The United States has 1 million plus Bitcoin. We're seeing companies like MicroStrategy, basically doing a speculative attack against the U.S. dollar while their headquarters is 15 minutes away from the CIA at Langley. They have 200,000 Bitcoin. The ETFs, with Grayscale and with the new BlackRock and Fidelity ETFs, there's like almost 600,000 Bitcoin now within the United States. There's a huge push within the United States, within the borders of the United States, to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. I think the U.S. has way more to gain as we've crossed this 33 trillion, 34 trillion. We're at this runaway debt service. Where do we print money and retain our economic hegemony? We can actually inflate the dollar into Bitcoin, this demand inelastic asset, and uphold the economic hegemony of the dollar, using Bitcoin basically as this digital M0 to offset. And now we're seeing Basel III laws coming into the play with capital requirements, where if you want to hold $100 million of Bitcoin, you need to hold $100 million of dollars on the books as consumer protection. What that actually means is if that $100 million turns into $10 trillion of Bitcoin because of an insane price explosion, now you need to hold $10 trillion. So they've created this tethering, no pun intended, but also probably pun intended, of the dollar system to Bitcoin. They want to control where this debt bubble pops, and now they have the perfect vacuum to suck up the dollar debt.
So, within Bitcoin circles, it's been framed for a long time as the answer to fiat, to the debt-based monetary system. But what you're saying is that the powers that be in the U.S. are poised to use it to perpetuate us into the new era of the debt-based monetary system.
Yes, I am, for sure. We have to make sure Bitcoin doesn't just become an asset that's paperized and you trade it with shares on BlackRock's iShares IBIT ticker. And instead, we really focus on making it a currency that can be utilized by everyone in the world, and that billions of people can hold, Bitcoin in a self-sovereign, self-custodial way. And it doesn't just become the settlement network for central banks around the world.
Your wake-up call. The British government is pushing forward with plans for a national digital ID system. They've called it the Brit card. And if that name doesn't send a chill down your spine, you have not been paying attention. It isn't just about proving who you are online. That all sounds rather lovely. This is about building a centralized, state-controlled digital identity system that could be used, will be used, to link your finances, your medical history, your travel movements, your social media activity, even your social activity in real life, and more. It's quite frankly a digital dog tag. And once it's clipped around your neck, you will not be able to take it off. So let's start with the basics. What is this Brit card? According to leaked briefings and government statements, and frankly, any of us who've been paying attention knew this was coming, the Brit card is going to act as a unified digital identification that every British citizen can use to access public services to prove their identity. And eventually, though they won't say this part out loud, link with your banking, your health, and your travel movements. Let's also not forget that we are already seeing the slow creep of programmable money. The Bank of England is working on a digital pound and has been for a few years. And there are active conversations now about linking spending capabilities to your digital identity. That means if your ID is flagged, limited, or suspended, I don't know, because maybe you said some hurty words on social media, that will mean you can't access your own money. Did you say something misleading? Perhaps some misinformation, the kind of stuff that you and I would know to be true on social media? Your account will be flagged. If you think that is far-fetched, then you haven't been reading the same websites as me. You just have to go and have a cursory glance to the World Economic Forum website, and it's all there in black and white as an ambition. It's such an important conversation. It's literally the most important conversation that we should be having at this time. Because once the BRIC card becomes part of daily life, resistance will be painted as extremist. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So speak up now while we still can. And finally, this is about power. The BRIC card isn't about technology. It's not about convenience. It's not even about illegal immigration, regardless of what they tell you. It is about power. Who has it? Who controls it? And who loses it? If we let our MPs, cheered on by tech companies, push this through without a fight, it won't be long before asking the wrong question, spending money on the wrong things, or holding the wrong opinion will put you on the wrong side of the system. And there will be millions of people who will be happy to cheer this through. It's not even about left or right. It makes that old-fashioned political paradigm utterly irrelevant. It is about being free or being trapped.
It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. It doesn't matter. It's a fact. We have the lab test to prove it. There will be no hiding this issue much longer. And what does it appear? The chemical signature for what's showing up in rain tests matches coal fly ash, a substance that the EPA has told us is not harmful. They've been trying desperately to get rid of, and it seems to suit the purposes for geoengineering, and evidence is increasingly indicating that toxic coal fly ash may be one of the base materials they're using to spray because it gives them plausible deniability.
This geoengineering where they're dropping nano aluminum from the atmosphere, and it goes into the nose, it goes directly into the brain, and it goes to the part of the brain that is most affected in Alzheimer's disease. I warned of that. I said, if you do that, they're going to have increased Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and both have increased significantly since they've been doing this on a large scale.
The drug companies will kill. The banks will kill. The energy companies will kill. The technology companies will kill. They will all kill if you create something that takes their money away. Big Pharma has killed many vaccine scientists that told the truth about vaccines. They have also killed many people who tried to heal people with powerful ways of healing. The banks will kill if you created a currency which started overtaking theirs. The energy companies will kill if you created free energy. And all of these people will kill you. So if anyone thinks that they can create something new which will take away their business, it's simple. You will be dead before you ever create it.
Your doctor got into and got through medical school not because they were smart, but because they had the ability to memorize and repeat huge amounts of raw data. Memorizing that much info left little time for actual critical thought. It created the perfect credible drone army to regurgitate corporate pharmaceutical propaganda with zero critical thinking.
Substance.
Parents are a pair who rents. Because you don't own your child, you sign them away using a signature. You signed your nature with a sigil. A sigil is a symbol used in witchcraft.
Oh my God!
You are born into this world, and the word born comes from barren, which means lifeless, dull, and boring. Then you are controlled by the government, the governmentality. They control your mind. Everything physical began as a thought in the thinking mind. The mind is the root cause of reality, so they control your mind, not your body. They do this by broadcasting spells to north, east, west, and south, the news.
My God! Wow!
Then they teach you the vowels in this specific order, A, E, I, O, U, to teach you that you owe them to become a slave. You are weak in the weekdays because you are working. Where you were a king, you are no longer a king if you are working. Then on the weekend, you are weakened from the weekdays. Days is a daze where you are in a state of confusion. The television is used to tell a vision, to program you on the programs. They want you to think slaughter is laughter, hello is hell is low. Words are swords because they mold your mind. They also create three-dimensional sound waves which impacts the fabric of matter. I believe that we were never meant to use words. Language has been manipulated so that we no longer use telepathy because we are all connected on the mental plane. We still have telepathic powers which we call intuition.
Google this. US patent 65061448B2 confirms that the US government is using electromagnetic fields from monitors and light resonance to manipulate the human nervous system.
All of what I would call the superhuman athletes that I work with, I all have them using a PEMF mat. So let me preface it by saying that you can get very similar results by taking your shoes off and touching the surface of the earth. Earthing and grounding is a very real thing. We discharge into the earth. The earth has a magnetic field. It's called a low Gauss current. This is a measurable field. You can actually look at your cellular biology pre and post touching the surface of the earth, and you can see dynamic changes even in your blood chemistry before and after touching the surface of the earth. So I want to preface this by saying that because my intention is not to just sell a bunch of PEMF mats. If you have the budget for it, however, you can buy a pulse electromagnetic field mat, PEMF mat, which mimics the current from the surface of the earth, this PEMF field. I have one down the center of my bed. It gets both my wife and I. It goes out about 6 feet in either direction. I run it for 30 minutes before I go to sleep at night. You will wake up alkaline every morning because remember, pH stands for potential hydrogen. It's the potential of hydrogen. It's a charge. pH is a charge. You cannot change the charge in the body by drinking alkaline water, right? So that essential water is it's great that it's essential water, but it won't change the pH of the blood, right? That's the biggest fallacy ever sold to the public. If you want to change the charge in the body, you run a low Gauss current through the body. So I think it's one of the most prolific things you can do for longevity, for anti-aging, for people that are really into biooptimization, for cellular repair, to restoring what's called vasomotor activity in the body, the microvascular circulation in the body, which, by the way, is 70% of our circulation. 70% of the circulation in the human body is not done by the heart. The heart cannot reach 70% of our circulatory system. It shocks people when I say that, but it's patently true. The 70% of our circulation is done by something called the vasomotor. It's a peristaltic wave-like motion. It's like a snake swallowing a mouse. So the PEMF is very good for vasomotor activity. So people always ask me, how do I become sick? Well, let's explain it. Sickness is the blockade of materials that cannot be utilized by the body. Certain things such as weather, fatigue, fear, worry, wrong food can cause the body to burst out the waste, resulting in illness. Colds, eruptions, fevers, diarrhea, and even paralysis are the symptoms of the cleansing effort to rid the body of the waste that has not been eliminated through the usual channels. People do not catch diseases from one another. What they're doing is they're going through a cleansing act, which is eliminating the toxins. That's what sickness is. So when one person goes, oh, I got sick, and my family member got sick in the same house, and it's contagion. It's not contagion. You're both eating the same foods, you live in the same home, you have the same terrain, you're both exposed to the same toxins, and you're both detoxing
at the same time. That's what sickness is. Sickness is just your body's way of attempting to purge toxins and heal itself and recalibrate itself so you could be better. If you didn't have sickness, for example, you take antibiotic or nicotine patches or ivermectin or other pharmaceutical drugs and you suppress the symptoms, then guess what? You suffer in the long run. That's what happens. Because anytime you suppress your ability to have a detox phase, you get worse over time. That's for sure.
We make money off of sick people, not healthy people. Heart medicine, dandelions, and Roundup. That sounds crazy, right? But you know what? They all fit together like a puzzle. You know why? Those little yellow dandelions that grow in your yard that they tell you to hate, they're terrible. They're actually the greatest thing on the earth for your heart. The enzymes and the electrolytes can literally cleanse and strengthen your heart valves and muscles more than anything else. And it's natural and free. The crazy thing is, the same company that owns the heart medicine, that is the highest sold heart medicine in the entire world, that makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year, is the same exact company that owns Roundup. Yeah.
There's a great book called The Iodine Crisis, which just goes more in depth on this. I highly recommend. It's a life-changing book, and that's what taught me everything about iodine. Because they talked about in the 1970s how iodine was from the foods, good old removing it from the foods and replacing it with bromide. And then guess what started happening? People started getting and they started going through the roof. If you don't understand how iodine works in the body, then you don't understand how a lot of the processes in the body work as well too. Lugol's is a great one. Used Lugol's for a long time. I've used Dr. Ed's. I use Pearl Powder. Those are the ones that I've done for a long time. And it's just to get that trace mineral, and you get a little selenium in there too, because selenium complements the iodine. You could do a Brazil nut if you want. Very, very powerful, very healing. And once again, ladies with and even men down below the belt, iodine. That's all it is. You just put iodine on the body. You can put it topically or you could eat it as well. You can put it into your drinks and eat it. But it's a powerful super.
Look, Satan, get behind me now. I ain't gonna listen when your voice seem loud. You be lying from the inside out, trying to instill some doubt, crying from the pits of hell. Look, we gon' shout it from the rooftop. Look, we gon' yell it from the east side. Look, we declare on the prison yard. Satan, get behind me now. I encourage you, dig into the word of God. Let it lift you up, let it spur you on. Look, he can't defeat you if you on your guard. 10 toes down, shoulders back, I wanna see you tall. Look, you need to walk with a godly pride. Look, rebuke the devil, don't believe his lies. Look, he trying to take you out and get it all, leave you broken all alone. Think you better dead and gone.
You were created for more than just this. Don't you settle for Judas' king. Haters, they come and they go. Leave them and close up the door. They knocking, just honor your goals.
Look, Satan, get behind me now. I ain't gon' listen when your voice seem loud. You be lying from the inside out, trying to instill some doubt, crying from the pits of hell. Look, we gon' shout it from the rooftop. Look, we gon' yell it from the east side. Look, we declare on the prison yard. Satan, get behind me now.
Yeah, like a lion that's stalking his prey. Watching the man that's neglecting to pray. Watching the man that's losing his ways. Slowly he losing his faith. It's right when he make a mistake, he pounce. Then beaten with the rod of guilt. Want to tear down everything that God has built. Yeah, how you believing you'll never be changed. Burden forever be stained and left in the bed of your shame. But all that sees in the midst of his presence. He gotta flee when you get in his presence. Can't be deceived when you dig in the truth. The grace that is given to you is something you never should question.
Look, Satan, get behind me now. I ain't gon' listen when your voice seem loud. You be lying from the inside out, trying to instill some doubt, crying from the pits of hell. Look, we gon' shout it from the rooftop. Look, we gon' yell it from the east side. Look, we declare on the prison yard. Satan, get behind me now.
It's deep at G, thoroughbred out for the gate. 100, 100, 100, 100. On assignment for the G's, thoroughbred
in the block for a double up. And the cocaine cutter gotta dub it up. All my master's pain from an empty cup. Gain the whole world, but it ain't enough. Know with the brag on the enemy stuff. On the enemy tough, then the enemy cut. What you think a man here doing, bro? Trying to get money from the call, man, add it up. Super apostle, they be acting up. Ear to the street, man, I've had enough. Trying to get me out here acting tough. Defending my king, not Adam stuff. Changing the game, refilling my cup with a change in the aim, not an enemy. Standing on the truth for the king. You can catch us on the block with a 4-5 ring. 20 out the van, bro. Everybody hands up. Worship to the anthem. Worship my king. Hit him with the ransom. Got me in the handcuffs. Got me with my hands up. Surrender my plea. Had to let him change me. Had enough. Even though the past ain't adding up. Sent for the ones that be acting up. Holla at your boy when you had enough. All we do is keep it G. Thoroughbred out for the king. 100. On assignment for the G's. Thoroughbreds to send the streets. 100. Say 100, 100. Keep it above the deuce, we chuck to the old me. That's the OG. 100, 100.
When the truth on it, you should know how we coming. Still black hugging. Where we at, it ain't sunny. My hands dirty. Still keeping it muddy. Them real churches, they ain't seeing no money. Love on them, I ain't give them a cent. Put the code on them, give them a plate. Don't beat them with the word if they don't repent. All the ever told them is it ain't never too late. And I ain't put it on the ground. I ain't recorded for no cam. I ain't do it for the show. I just did it for they soul. Kept the business on the low. I just wanna see them grow. I just wanna see them eat. Used to serve them on the east. Still serving on the east. I just wanna see them free. Using the ministry. Build up the people, not using the people to build up the ministry. Don't let them deceive you, it's trickery. They serving the king or the enemy. Hard to tell and I'm confused by it. Still kept the flame and got a new fire. I done slayed the giant in a few lives. That's 100. Now who lied? Like who lied?
All we do is keep it G. Thoroughbred out for the king. 100. On assignment for the G's. Thoroughbreds to send the streets. 100. Live at the street, who's hungry to eat? If you owe me, then it's on scene. 100. Keep it above the deuce, we chuck to the old me. That's the OG. 100.
Hey, all the way. 100. Hey, all the way. 100. Hey, all the way. 100. All the way 100, bro. Yeah. In and out. Outside, inside. All that. Clean me up, Lord. Wash me. Cleanse me in there. Don't let it look good from the outside and not be ready to die in the inside. Daily. Pick up your cross, young soldier. Carry that thing. Salute. Do it in the name of Jesus. In the mighty name. Seek him in private. Woo!